We can hear you.
We can hear you, Kathy. All right. Good afternoon. All right. This is the state. You ready, Samantha?
Yes.
This is the state of Georgia versus Marcus Martin. This is 20 SC 176671. Today.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, Kathy. All right. Good afternoon. All right. This is the state. You ready, Samantha?
Yes.
This is the state of Georgia versus. Just give me a second. Martin. This is 20 SC. Give me 1 second. 176671. Today. You. Okay, just give me 1 second. It's state. You ready, Samantha? Give me one. Stop it, Lauren. State of Georgia versus. Give me a second. Martin. 20 SC. Give me 1 second. 1766. Okay, just give me 1 second.
Judge, if you hotspot your computer off of your phone, it will stop doing that.
Judge, I'm also, let me see if we have another connector for the internet to be.
Let me try one more time and see if it's still looping.
Plug into your laptop. Let me text Adam.
All right, I don't think it's looping.
Oh, it sounds good.
All right.
That was so weird.
Okay, it's today is October the 23rd, 2020. I am in chambers at the Fulton County Courthouse. Our courtroom is open. There is a deputy staffing our courtroom. So if anyone does come in for any of these matters, we will be notified. But these proceedings are now being published on YouTube live stream through the court's YouTube website or link. And at this point, I am going to ask whether this case is going to be a plea.
It's a plea, Your Honor.
All
It
right.
is a plea, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mr. Fortis. And I am going to ask Ms. McCauley if you would like to proceed on behalf of the state.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, do you want me to inquire about Zoom?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. Good morning, Mr. Martin. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Martin, did you discuss with your attorney today's proceedings?
Yes, ma'am.
And did your attorney advise you that you have the right to appear in person, but you can waive that right and appear via Zoom?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you chosen to do that today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Fortis, are you satisfied that your client understands the nature of these proceedings and has properly waived his right to physically appear in the courtroom?
That's correct.
Thank you. Mr. Martin, do you consent to the court signing any documents with your name on your behalf for the disposition of this case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. Fortis, the same question to you?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Your Honor, the state is satisfied the defendant and his counsel have properly waived their right to appear in person before this court and have agreed to appear via Zoom. They also consent to the court signing their names on their behalf on the indictment. The state also consents to the court signing the name of its representative on the indictment. I believe we're ready to proceed.
All right, thank you very much. You may proceed, Ms. McCauley.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Martin, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you under penalty of perjury? Can I get a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Put your hand down. All right, Mr. Martin, how old are you?
I'm 30.
How far have you gone in school?
Some college.
Okay, so you can read, write, and understand the English language.
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, are you under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today?
No, ma'am.
Is there any medication that you normally take that you have not had today?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Martin, do you understand that you are pleading guilty to the following charges? Aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, possession of a firearm by a first offender.
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that the anticipated sentence is 5 years to serve 1, commuted time served with the balance to be on probation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your actual sentence is going to be 10 years to serve 1, cumulative time served to the balance on probation. And let me explain how that breaks down, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
The charge of aggravated assault and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon will run together at the same time, okay?
Yes,
You will
ma'am.
be on active probation for the term of that 5 years. On the charge of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, that charge has to run consecutive, so it has to run after your first 2 charges, and that amount of time will be suspended, so you will not be on active probation during that period of time. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Are those the terms of the plea that you've agreed to?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the following rights: the right to a trial by jury, the right to have the evidence against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt, the right to be represented by an attorney at that trial, and if you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, to have one appointed to you at no expense, the right to testify in your own behalf or the right to remain silent, the right to compel your own witnesses to come to court and testify in your behalf, as well as the right to cross-examine the state's witnesses and any other evidence that would be presented against you. And you would have the right, if convicted at that trial, to file an appeal, and you would have the right to an assistance of counsel on that appeal. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or otherwise made you enter into this guilty plea?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are currently serving on any term of probation or parole in any jurisdiction, including federal court, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences?
Yes, ma'am.
Understand that this conviction can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar crime in a future case, for impeachment of your testimony, or to enhance a future criminal sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
To understand that you have 4 years from today on any felony charges and 12 months from today on any misdemeanor charges to file what's called a habeas corpus petition. A habeas corpus petition is a document that says this plea was not voluntary. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have that amount of time to file that petition. Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on your immigration or visa status?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So as to the charges of aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm by a first offender probationer, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Did you enter this plea knowingly, willingly, freely, intelligently, and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Your Honor, if this case were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on March 2nd of 2020 at 613 Carlton Point Drive, which is located in the city of Palmetto in the state of Georgia in Fulton County, officers responded to that location after there was a person shot. After speaking with the cousin of the defendant and after speaking with the victim, it was determined that the victim was in the process or had recently robbed Mr. Martin in a drug deal gone wrong, and Mr. Martin shot him. The state's position that Mr. Martin would have a relatively good presentation of self-defense if this case were to proceed to trial. And based on that, Your Honor, we would be asking the court to accept the sentence as negotiated.
All right.
I'll go through his criminal history shortly.
Okay. All right. Pending that presentation from the state, Mr. Fortis, anything on your client's behalf?
Judge, we just ask that you follow the recommendation.
All right. And Ms. McCauley, was the defendant's criminal background, if any, taken into account in reaching the sentence?
Yes, it was, Your Honor. The defendant has one open case or has first offender probation on 09 SC 80537. That his only felony conviction, and that conviction was for robbery. He has not had any arrests or significant convictions or any convictions since that time relating to felonies.
Okay. Thank you.
And the special conditions, Your Honor, of the plea would be that Mr. Marcus have no further contact with the victim during the term of his probation. Obviously not to possess a firearm as well.
All right. And do you have the victim's name? We're doing
do,
this
Your
from
Honor.
another place from where we were all set up to get that information.
Yes. The victim's name is Demar, D-E-M-A-R, Mims Ward.
Last name is Ward.
Ward, yeah, Mims Ward.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Martin, I'm Judge Barwick. How are you?
Doing fine, Your Honor.
Okay, we had some technological hiccups there getting started, so I didn't want you to feel as though we weren't fully focused on you and on your case this afternoon. I want to ask you, first of all, whether you understood the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney.
Yes, ma'am, I understood fully.
Okay, and you understand the rights you're giving up by entering your plea of guilty today?
Yes, ma'am.
And you want to go ahead and enter your plea and give up those rights,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe you understand what's going on today and what you're doing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I do find that Mr. Martin is entering his plea willingly, freely, knowingly, and voluntarily. I do find there's an adequate basis in fact presented to the court to support the charges. And I do accept his plea of guilty, and I accept the recommended sentence, and therefore to one count of aggravated assault in 20 SC 176671. The court hereby sentences you to 5 years to serve 1 year, that 1 year being commuted to the time that you have already served with the balance on probation. And I'll give you the special conditions of that probation in just a moment. On count 2, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, the court hereby sentences you to 5 years to run consecutive to the sentence on count 1, that sentence to be suspended. And on count 3, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, the court hereby sentences you to the same sentence, 5 years to serve 1, commuted to time served, as the sentence on count 1 to run concurrently with the sentence on count 1. The special conditions, Mr. Martin, are that you have no further contact with the victim, DeMar Mims Ward, and that you not own, possess, transport, or have anything to do with firearms during the period of your probation. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
It looks like there's 4 charges on the accusation.
Let me ask one question of Ms. McCauley and Mr. Fortis. On the accusation that we're proceeding under, I am informed that there are 4 charges.
Yes.
What's the last one? Is there only? We're looking at the case is actually accused 20 SC 176671, and I'm getting a copy of that just right this moment.
You're
on
muted,
mute.
Lauren. Lauren, you're muted.
Unmute myself. Your Honor, I just pulled up the disposition to make sure that we are pleading to the correct charges. It is my understanding that
There's a third charge that on the accusation that is possession of a firearm by first offender probationer.
right. It's my understanding that he is pleading to the possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, not the possession of a firearm by a first offender probationer.
Okay,
And that charge should be null prost.
we will take care of that. Is that your understanding, Mr. Fortis?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, the court will null pros what is count 3 on the accusation. Anything else?
No, Your Honor. Do we need to do the bond hearing, the bond motions, or those will be done by the court?
Bond motions for Mr. Martin or?
The bond orders, I'm sorry.
Oh, Your Honor, I submitted a bond order to Kathy earlier.
Okay.
Is it a consent?
It is.
We'll get it entered. We
Okay.
may already have done so.
All right. Thank you. Just making sure I didn't need to draft anything. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Ms. McCauley. Good to see you.
You're welcome.
Bye, Judge. Thank you.
Good luck, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is position number 10, Mr. Sabor.
Lauren.
Now Sabor.
Lauren,
Yes.
can you hear me? Could you
Yes,
spell out the victim's last name for me, please?
Sure. It's Mims Ward, MIMS-WARD.
All right, thanks.
Okay, this is Kareem Al-Sabur.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Good, man. How you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing just fine. Okay, this is position number 10, and Ms. Raz, you are just in time.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is handling this for the state?
It'll be me, Your Honor.
Okay, so if we can start our record, Ms. Ingram, this is the state of Georgia versus Kareem A. Al-Sabur, and this is 20 SC 176672. Today is October the 23rd, 2020. I am Judge Jane Barwick, and while I am in chambers, our courtroom 8A is open to the public and staffed by a member of the Sheriff's Department in the event anyone does come in person for any of these matters today. Otherwise, we are all appearing via the Zoom teleconference platform. We are broadcasting our proceedings today via our YouTube live stream link. And at this time, I'm going to turn the matter over to Ms. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much. All right. Can you hear me okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to review this case with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did she explain to you the nature of today's proceedings?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
And did you waive your right to appear in person and agree to appear via Zoom for the purposes of resolving your case?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
All right. Thank you very much. And sir, do you consent to having the court sign your name on any documents that may be required for disposing of your case?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you. Ms. Raz, did you have an opportunity to discuss today's case with your client?
I did.
Okay. And are you satisfied that he fully understands today's proceeding and the waiver of his right to be present in court?
Yes.
Okay. And do you also permit the court to sign your name on your behalf on the indictment or any other documents that may be needed for disposition?
I do.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state is satisfied that both counsel and her client have properly waived their right to appear before the court and also consent to the court signing their names on their behalf on the indictment. And the state also consents to the court signing the name of its representative on the indictment. And I believe we're ready to proceed.
All right, thank you so much. Proceed, Ms. McCauley.
All right, sir, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, and put your hand down. Could you please state and spell your name for the court?
Kareem, Kareem. Last name is Al-Sabur, Al-Sabur.
And Mr. Al-Sabur, how old are you?
34, ma'am.
How far did you go in school?
In college.
Okay, you can read, write, and understand the English language.
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Are you at this time under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Is there any
May I
medication?
just get, Ms. McCauley, I hate to interrupt, but may I get his education level one more time? I apologize, I didn't hear it.
Okay, all right, Mr. Al-Sabur, how far did you go in school?
Some college, ma'am.
Thank you.
Some college, okay. Mr. Al-Sabur, did anyone force, threaten, or otherwise make you enter into this guilty plea today?
No, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand that you're pleading guilty to the charge of disorderly conduct with time served?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you understand that, oh, never mind. That was the only charge. My mistake, sir. Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the following rights? Right to a trial by jury, right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself, right to be represented by an attorney at that trial, and if you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, to have one appointed to you at no expense. You have the right to confront and cross-examine the state's witnesses, as well as any other evidence that would be presented against you. You would have the right to have the charges against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt. You would have the right to a trial by jury. You would have the right to compel your own witnesses to come to court and testify on your behalf, as well as cross-examine any witnesses or evidence presented by the state. And if you were to be convicted, you would have the right to appeal that conviction with the assistance of an attorney. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Do you understand that you have 12 months from today on the misdemeanor charge of disorderly conduct to file what's called a habeas corpus petition? A habeas corpus petition is a document that challenges whether or not this plea was voluntary. And you have that amount of time to file that document. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
To understand if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are currently serving on any term of probation or parole in any jurisdiction, including federal court, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
To understand that that this conviction can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar crime in a future case, for impeachment of your testimony, or to enhance a future criminal sentence.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
To understand if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on your immigration or visa status.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
And as to the charge of disorderly conduct, is it your intent to enter a no contest plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So all right. Your Honor, if this case were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on March 30th of 2020 at 9963 Old Dogwood Road, which is located in the city of Roswell, which is in Fulton County, the victim was at the Chevron at that location, and he was approached by the defendant. I believe a verbal exchange occurred between the two, and the defendant got upset with the victim, Mr. Keppel, that's spelled Kepple, and proceeded to chase him with a knife. That is the factual basis, Your Honor, for this particular plea. And as to the defendant's criminal history, it is as follows. Hold on, just one moment. He has no prior felony convictions. He does have some prior arrests, but there is nothing significant to the state, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Raz?
Thank you, Judge. We do ask you to accept Mr. Alsabor's NOLO plea, Judge. He does maintain his innocence. As Ms. McCauley mentioned, the complaining witness in this case, Mr. Keppel, called 911, told officers that a man had chased him with a knife because he had asked Mr. Keppel for a cigarette, and Mr. Keppel had refused to give him a cigarette. At that time, no arrests were made. The police canvassed the area, didn't find any suspects, also didn't find any witnesses. Later, a third party and someone who actually remained anonymous called to report that there was that Mr. Alsabor was soliciting cigarettes at the Studio 6 motel. So the officers pulled a photo of Mr. Alsabor, showed it to Mr. Keppel. Mr. Keppel said, "That's the guy," and that's why we're here today. That's why Mr. Alsabor has spent 162 days in jail. I do believe that a NOLO plea to disorderly conduct is a fair resolution of this case, and we do ask you to accept the negotiated sentence of 12 months commuted to the time that he's already served.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Alsabor, first of all, apologize for mispronouncing your name the first time. Did you understand the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And you understand the rights you're giving up by entering your NOLO plea today?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, and have you had adequate time to talk to your attorney, Ms. Raz?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You satisfied with her services?
Yes, ma'am, she did a heck of a job. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is anybody forcing you to do this today, or has anybody promised you anything in exchange for your entering this plea?
No, Your Honor, no.
All right. Well, I think that Mr. Alsabor is entering his plea knowingly, willingly, freely, and voluntarily. I do accept it, and I accept it as a NOLO based on the facts presented to the court, and therefore on one count of disorderly conduct, the court hereby sentences you to 12 months commuted to the time that you have served. We brought in extra staff today to make sure that we could go ahead and process all of our paperwork as soon as possible. And so I want to wish you luck, Mr. March. Excuse me.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ms. Rass.
Thank you, Judge. Good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Next be Mr. Wilburn, position
Okay.
number 2.
All right.
Will.
All right, Kathy is.
I believe we need, do we have Ms. Markowitz back?
Yep.
Okay.
She's on the she's in the corner of mine.
I'm here.
Okay.
My turn?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. This is the state of Georgia versus Mr. Deron Wilburn. This is 20 SC 176678. Today is October 23rd, 2020. I am Judge Barwick. I am in my chambers. Our courtroom 8A is open to the public and staffed by a member of the Sheriff's Department. We are broadcasting these proceedings via the court's YouTube live stream link, satisfying our obligation to make these matters public. Everyone else is appearing via the Zoom teleconference platform, including Mr. Wilburn. And at this point, I'll turn the proceedings over to Ms. McCauley.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Wilburn. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can now.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Wilburn, did you have an opportunity to discuss today's proceedings and your right to appear in court versus your right versus appearing via Zoom with your attorney, Ms. Markowitz?
I did, man.
Okay. And are you waiving your right to appear in court and choosing to appear via Zoom for the purposes of resolving your case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Do you also consent to the court signing your name on any documents that may be required in order to resolve this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Markowitz, are you satisfied that your client has a full understanding of this proceeding?
Yes, yes.
And do you also consent to the court signing your name on your behalf on any documents that may be required for disposition?
I would appreciate it, so yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state is satisfied that Mr. Wilburn and his counsel have properly waived their right to appear in court, agreeing to appear via Zoom, and have also consented to the court signing their names on the indictment.
Thank you very much. Would you like to proceed, Ms. McCauley?
Yes, Your Honor, at this time we're ready to proceed. All right, Mr. Wilburn, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you under penalty of perjury? Then you can put your hand down. I may need you to speak up just a little bit, Mr. Wilburn, okay? You're on mute. Okay. All right, Mr. Wilburn, could you please state and spell your name for the court?
My name is Deron, D-E-R-O-H-N. Last name Wilburn, W-I-L-B-U-R-N.
All right, Mr. Wilburn, how old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
How far have you gone in school?
I got up to my GED.
And you can read, write, and understand the English language.
Yes, I'm a 4.0 honor roll student.
Okay, congratulations. Awesome. Do you understand that, are you under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today?
No, not at all, ma'am.
Okay. And have you had enough time to discuss this case with your attorney, Ms. Markowitz?
Yes, I have, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with her representation?
Yes, very satisfied, ma'am.
Ms. Markowitz, are you satisfied that your client has a full understanding of this proceeding?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Wilburn, you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the following rights: the right to a trial by jury, the right to testify or the right to remain silent, the right to have the evidence against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to confront and cross-examine the state's witnesses, as well as any other evidence that would be presented. You have the right to compel your own witnesses to come to court and testify on your own behalf. You have the right to be represented by an attorney at that trial. If you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, you would have one appointed to you at no expense. And should you be convicted, you would have the right to appeal that conviction with the assistance of an attorney. Do you understand those rights? You're on mute again.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or otherwise made you enter into this guilty plea?
No, ma'am.
To understand that if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are currently serving on any term of probation or parole in any jurisdiction, including federal court, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences.
Yes, ma'am.
To understand that you have 4 years from today on any felony charges to file a habeas corpus petition challenging whether or not this plea was voluntary. You have 12 months on any misdemeanor charges.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on your immigration or visa status?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that this conviction can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar crime in a future case for impeachment of your testimony or to enhance a future criminal sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And as to the charges of theft by receiving stolen property and reckless driving, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
And you enter this plea knowingly, willingly, freely, intelligently, and voluntarily with the full facts and knowledge of the case before you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. Your Honor, if this case were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on September 19th, 2020 at 2:30 a.m. at 400 Whitehall Street, which is located in the city of Atlanta in Fulton County, officers observed Mr. Wilburn driving at a very high rate of speed, wrong way on a city street, driving back and forth between Pryor Street and Memorial Highway. Officer Francois, that's Francois, responded to the call. Mr. Wilburn pulled in and realized the officer was there and subsequently drove off. Vehicle that Mr. Wilburn was in was stolen, and it was stolen from a Fisher James Rodney, and it's a 2015 Mazda Grand Touring, which has a value of greater than $5,000. Mr. Wilburn stated that he bought the vehicle from a lady that he had just met for $800 at a gas station, and he had no proof of bill of sale on his person. Based on that, Your Honor, we would be, asking the court to accept the plea as negotiated with a sentence of 3 years probation, and I will provide the defendant's criminal history shortly.
Okay. And Ms. McCauley, the first count remains as theft by receiving a felony?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Anything further from the state pending the criminal history?
No, but I can provide the criminal history. I'm showing no prior convictions and not currently on probation.
All right. Ms. Markowitz?
Judge, on behalf of Mr. Wilburn, he is 30 years old. He has his GED and he works both landscaping and home repair. Asking that you follow the state's recommendation. He has been in jail since September 19th, which was the day of his arrest. I'm also asking that we waive probation fee the first year so he can get back on his feet.
All right. Anything further?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Wilburn, I'm Judge Barwick, and I just have a few questions for you, sir. Did you understand the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney?
Yeah, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you understand the rights you're giving up by entering your plea of guilty today?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Are you willing to waive those rights and enter your plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney, Ms. Markowitz?
Very satisfied, Your Honor.
All right. And has anybody promised you or threatened you in any way to get you to enter this plea today?
Not at all, Your Honor.
All right. Well, I do find that Mr. Wilburn is entering his plea knowingly, willingly, freely, and voluntarily. I do find that there's an adequate basis, in fact, for the charges presented to the court. I do accept the plea, and I agree with the recommendation, and therefore, in 20 SC 176678 on one count of theft by receiving a felony, the court hereby sentences you to serve 3 years on probation. And on count 2, reckless driving, is that a misdemeanor or felony?
It's a misdemeanor, Your Honor.
All right. On count 2, reckless driving, the court sentences you to 12 months on probation to be served concurrently with the sentence in count 1. Is there anything, and I am not going to waive the probation fees. Is there anything else?
No, Your Honor.
No, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Wilburn, you have any questions for us, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Markowitz.
Thank you, Judge.
If the court is ready, next I have position number 4.
Okay, great. This is Mr. Kane. Okay, we still have you for a little while, Ms. Markowitz, right?
And we have 2 cases on Mr. Kane, Judge.
Okay.
two.
We only know of one, but if you'll give us,
Both have been waived and both of them have SC numbers.
okay, could you give us, we've got 20 SC 176676. What's
And
the
that
other one?
goes with the 324, and then we have 20 SC 17667. I'm sorry, which one do you have?
20 SC 176676.
Okay, and then the next one is 20 SC 176674.
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, 20 SC 176674.
Okay. All right. Just 1 minute. Let me make sure. Did you get that one?
176674.
Yep.
Okay.
And you'll need to give me the charges on that count or on that one when you get to it. But if we could begin this, and we settled that one too?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. To begin, this is the state of Georgia versus John Kane. There are two case numbers here. The first is 20 SC 176674. The second is 20 SC 176676. Today is October the 23rd, 2020. I'm Judge Barwick. I'm in my chambers, but next to courtroom 8A, which is open to the public, staffed by a member of the Sheriff's Department, having a little technological issue in there. So we have put this matter on the court's YouTube live stream link to satisfy the obligation that matters remain open and accessible to the public. Everyone else, including the defendant, is appearing via the Zoom teleconference platform. And at this time, I'm going to turn this matter or these matters over to Ms. McCauley to see if she has any questions concerning the defendant's appearance.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me okay? You're on mute.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. Do you understand that you are waiving your right to be physically present in the courtroom and agreeing to be present via Zoom for the purposes of resolving your case?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you discussed this with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you also consent to the court signing your name on your behalf on any documents that may be required to perfect your plea?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Markowitz, are you satisfied that your client has properly waived his right to appear in court today?
Yes.
And do you also consent to the court signing your name on your behalf to perfect the plea?
Yes, I'm asking the court to do that. Thank you so much, Judge.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state is satisfied the defendant and his counsel have properly waived their right to appear before the court and also consent to the court signing their names on their behalf, as does the state. I think we're ready to proceed.
All right. Thank you. You may proceed, Ms. McCauley.
All right, sir, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you put your hand down. Would you please state and spell your name for the court?
John Kane, K-O-H-E-C-A-I-N, the third.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kane, how old are you?
I'm 40.
How far have you gone in school?
Graduated high school.
Okay. You can read, write, and understand the English language, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. At this time, are you under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today?
No, ma'am.
Is there any medication that you normally take that you've not had today?
No, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand that if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are serving on any term of probation or parole in any jurisdiction, including federal court, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences?
Yes, ma'am.
Understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on your immigration or visa status.
Yes, ma'am.
To understand that this conviction can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar crime in a future case, for impeachment of your testimony, or to enhance a future criminal sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
To understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the following rights: the right to a trial by jury, the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself, the right to have the evidence against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt, the the right to confront and cross-examine the state's witnesses, as well as any other evidence that would be presented against you. You have the right to compel your own witnesses to come to court and testify in your own behalf. You have the right to be represented by an attorney at that trial if you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, to have one appointed to you. And if you were to be convicted, you would have the right to appeal that conviction with the assistance of an attorney. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
To understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up those rights.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you have 12 months from today on any misdemeanor charges and 4 years from today on any felony charges to file what's called a habeas corpus petition, challenging whether or not this plea was in fact voluntary?
Ma'am.
Okay. As to the charge of theft by taking, sir, how do you plead?
I'm sorry, Lauren. Did he say yes?
Yes, he did.
quite- Okay.
As to the charge of theft by taking, sir, how do you plead?
Guilty.
To enter this plea knowingly, willingly, freely, intelligently, and voluntarily with the full facts and knowledge of the case before you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Your Honor, if this case were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on September 25th, 2020 at 2525 Piedmont Road, which is located in the city of Atlanta in Fulton County, officers responded to that location. Upon arrival, officers spoke with the asset protection specialist, Mr. Fleetwood, who stated that he witnessed the defendant on surveillance video take a leaf blower and a gas stick edger and pass all points of sale. The amount was just over $500, but he did attempt to leave the store with the items without paying. The items were subsequently returned back to the store. Your Honor, we would be asking for, Liz, it says drug court on my notes, track 3, but I don't know if we were able to confirm that he was accepted.
He was.
Okay, so Your Honor, we would just be asking for him to be sent to drug court, track 3. With a sentence of 1 year probation.
It needs to be 2.
I'm sorry, 2 years probation. That's right. 2 years probation. And he does have a criminal history, Your Honor. It is all theft related. He has some forgery convictions from 2006, 2009, and a burglary conviction from 2009. And then he has 2 theft by shopliftings, one from 2014 and one from 2016.
Okay. Excuse me, I may have missed. Are we doing both cases?
We are, Judge. This was just the first one. This was 20 SC 176676.
Okay.
What is the second case, Liz?
The second one is 20 SC 176674. It's 2 entering autos and a theft by taking. And
Okay,
that would be 3 year probation.
As to the charge.
I'm sorry, what store is it 2525 Piedmont Road? Is it Home Depot?
It's Home Depot. It's Home Depot.
Okay.
And then, Your Honor, as to the second case, which occurred at 5016 6th Street, which is located in the city of Atlanta in Fulton County. The lock shop at Georgia Institute of Technology, the manager there, reported that an individual had entered the shop and vehicles in the shop and a shop vacuum was missing. Fingerprints were lifted from both vehicles, and those prints came back to Mr. Kane. And same sentence, Your Honor, of 5 years to serve, 1 commuted time served upon entering completion of drug court, track 3.
5 years to serve, 1 commuted to time served upon entry into drug court.
Drug court, track 3.
Okay. I'm being asked by the case manager just to confirm that there is an acceptance by drug court.
There is. Do you want me to forward you the email?
Oh, that'd be great.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, great.
Your Honor, I have an issue.
Okay.
On the first case that we took the plea on, Marcus Martin, I messed up the plea. It is not supposed to be a time served plea. I've asked Mr. Fortis to log back on.
Can we get Mr. Martin back?
Maybe we can ask the jail at the very end if we can go back to Mr. Martin.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a year to serve.
Okay. How long is we'll get to it.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and finish Mr. Kane.
I just went through my notes. It's too much going on.
Understood.
Yes, at the end, we will get to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so as far as Mr. Kane is concerned, is that it for the state?
Yes, it is.
All right, Ms. Markowitz?
Judge, I'm sorry, I was trying to send you the email. Judge, on behalf of Mr. Kane, he has a significant drug problem. He and I spent a long time talking about it and what we could do. He also knows he lives in Conyers with his mom right now, which is unfortunately just a little too far away to go daily back and forth. And so he's talked to drug court and he's going to be waiting for a little while so they can find him housing that is located closer so he can get back and forth to drug court. They anticipate that to be fairly soon, but we're trying to give him the best chance that we can to really get through this. I feel very confident that Mr. Kane wants to do this. And the fact that he's requested it, it wasn't something that I had actually, kind of thought about, especially because entering autos tend to be trouble for us. But we had a really long conversation. We've been waiting a few weeks in order to get drug court's approval. I will forward you it right now. I had gotten you in there and I was going to get Kathy and then Lauren. So just that it didn't look like I was ex parte. But other than that, we are just asking that you file the recommendation. He's 40 years old. He's a high school graduate and he does phone installations in vehicles.
Okay, how does this work? Does he have to wait for his placement?
He does. So what happens is if he had housing that was like, let's just say next door to the jail, they would pick him up on Tuesday from the jail and then bring him to Hope Hall, which is on Jefferson Street right behind the jail. And so as soon as they get housing, they will do that. They'll bring him over on the next available date that they bring in intake, which is weekly. And then he'll be released to them. And then he'll be out to his housing and they'll put it all together.
Okay, so just to clarify, and our case manager is listening in right now, just to clarify, he remains in custody at Rice Street until they pick him up for housing for drug court.
Right. So what it is on a track 3, it's the special condition that he enter drug court and that the balance is probated with the special condition that he complete probation and complete drug court. And so that automatically puts a hold for accountability courts.
Okay. Okay.
And then you would also send the order to drug court. So there's an order that your case manager has that you would sign, Judge, that would go there knowing that they would know that both cases got sentenced to track 3 via you.
I don't have that order.
Oh, she says she's sending it to us, but hang on we don't have it yet, but I'm confident it's coming.
And then I just sent you everybody, the Mr. Kane.
Here we go. Okay. Okay, so this, Kathy, I'll print this for you.
Yeah.
And Ms. Markowitz, do I do an order based on this?
Yeah, there's actually a drug court order, basic orders that every courtroom should have. And if not, I'll just email Mr. Collins because I'm going to come back in just a minute and he could forward that to me.
Okay. Oh, I may be printing them.
Okay, I just sent that to him. So if we don't get it, we'll have it done before the end of the court hearing.
Okay.
What's count 3?
Count 3 is theft by taking.
Is that
Correct.
And what are we doing with count? So we've got entering auto. I've got 5 years to serve 1. This is on 674. 5 years to serve 1 commuted time served. And is the theft by taking a misdemeanor or
No.
felony?
It's a felony.
Okay, so that's three concurrent sentences.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, got that? Okay. All right. Mr. Kane, I have some questions for you, sir. Ms. Markowitz, are you through?
Yes, Judge, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kane, I have some questions for you, sir. Did you understand the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand the rights you're giving up by entering your pleas of guilty today?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you willing to give up those rights and enter your pleas?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anybody promised you anything or threatened you in any way?
Ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney, Ms. Markowitz?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe you've had adequate time to discuss these cases with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I find that Mr. Kane is entering his pleas willingly, freely, knowingly, and voluntarily. I do find there's adequate basis, in fact, for the charges presented to the court. And I do agree with the recommendation reached between counsel, and therefore in 20 SC, I'm going to go chronologically, not chronologically, 20 SC 176674, on one count of entering auto, the court hereby sentences you to 5 years to serve 1 year. That 1 year will be commuted to the time you've served upon your entry into drug court track 3. The balance to be probated, part of that probation would be that you complete the drug court program. And count 2, entering auto, and count 3, theft by taking, same sentences to run concurrently. So that would complete, I believe, the pronouncement of sentence in the indictment or the accusation ending in 674. In 20 SC 176676, on one count of theft by shoplifting, the court hereby sentences you to 2 years probation, and that is conditioned upon your entry into track 3 of the drug court program and your completion of the drug court program. And I just want to make certain that we all understand that that Mr. Kane is remaining at Rice Street until the drug court secures him housing, and he will somehow be transported. How will that occur, Ms. Markowitz?
So Judge, it's next door. So they have their own team of accountability court people. So the reason that your sentence says commuted, the 5 to do 1 commuted time served upon entry into drug court, that is actually a hold.
Okay. And so I just wanted to make sure that Mr. Kane expected the same thing that the court expected. And Mr. Kane, good luck in the drug court program. We will look for your graduation invitation, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
And
Judge,
if you'd like to invite me, I'll be there.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, we have one more thing to handle. He still has an open probation I'd like to handle right now. It's 16 SC 142613. And he has 6 months and 16 days left. And I'd like to just revoke and suspend.
Is that acceptable to the state?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Okay.
And Judge, the probation officer Crawford is on here, and she and I have been texting, and so I think they're all agreeable to that.
I just need to confirm that I got the correct number. 18 SC?
No, 16.
16 SC, okay.
142613.
Okay, 16 SC 142613. The court, and Officer Crawford, the court would revoke and suspend, is that? Okay, the court would revoke and suspend the remaining probation on that case. Is that?
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, got
So
that?
Judge, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to go ahead and get off this. I will come back in as soon as I finish that other plea.
Okay.
And they know that in the other floor over in the next calendar.
Okay. Well, if we have finished with Mr. Kane, then let's wish him luck.
Good job, Mr. Kane.
Thank you.
Remember how long you've been clean now. Let's stick to it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Okay.
good job.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next, we have position number 5.
All right. Okay. We have position number 5 next. All right, sir. I'm going to ask you to help me with your name. Al-Mutakan.
Muta King.
Oh, number 2.
Muta
No, we've
King.
done number 2. Who is this man?
That's me.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Abdul.
She said it right.
Okay.
Muta King, Abdul.
Okay. All right. You ready, Samantha?
Yes.
Okay. This is the state of Georgia versus Abdul Al-Mutakan. And this is 20 SC 176680. Today is October 23rd, 2020. I am in chambers immediately adjacent to courtroom 8A. Our courtroom is open to the public, staffed by a member of the Sheriff's Department. I've stepped into chambers because of a technological issue, and therefore we have this matter on YouTube live stream to satisfy our obligation to keep our matters open and accessible to the public. Everyone else, including the defendant, are appearing via the Zoom teleconference platform. And I'm now going to hand this matter over to Ms. McCauley and ask if you'd like to proceed. Got it with only 2, so I just want to let you know. 1, 2. Okay.
You're muted, Ms. McCauley.
Oops.
Sorry, so sorry. Yes, Your Honor, we would like to proceed. And sir, could you please pronounce your last name for me?
Al-Mutakin.
Al-Mutakin. Okay, Al-Mutakin.
Like K-E-E-N.
K-E-E, Al-Mutakin. Okay, thank you. I just don't want to pronounce it incorrectly. Sir, have you had an opportunity to discuss today's proceeding with your counsel, Ms. Bronstein?
Yes, I did.
And do you understand the nature of today's proceedings and the fact that you are agreeing to waive your right to be physically present in the courtroom and agreeing to appear via Zoom?
Yes.
Okay. And you understand that, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead to the plea. And you also consent to the court signing your name on the indictment on your behalf?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Counsel, are you satisfied that your client has properly waived his right to appear before the court?
I am.
And yourself as well?
Yes.
And you also consent to the court signing your name on the indictment on your behalf?
I do.
Thank you very much. Your Honor, I believe we are ready to proceed.
All right. Would you like to proceed?
Yes, very much. All right, sir, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide to the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Then you put your hand down. All right, sir, could you please state, or you've already stated and spelled your name, but how old are you?
60.
How far have you gone in school?
I'm sorry, the age.
You said he was 60?
60. Okay.
And how far have you gone in school, sir?
I completed school, some college.
So some college, so you can read, write, and understand the English language.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Are you under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today?
No. No.
Is there any medication that you normally take that you've not had today?
I don't take medication.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on your immigration or visa status?
Yes.
Do you understand if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are currently serving on any term of probation or parole in any jurisdiction, including federal court, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences?
Yes.
Do you understand that this conviction can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar crime in a future case, for impeachment of your testimony, or to enhance a future criminal sentence?
Yes.
All right. Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the following rights: the right to a trial by jury, the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself, or the right to testify should you so choose. You have the right to confront and cross-examine the state's witnesses, as well as any other evidence that would be presented against you. You have the right to compel your own evidence in your own defense and present your own witnesses to the court to testify on your behalf. You have the right to be represented by an attorney at that trial, and if you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, have one appointed to you at no expense. If you were to be convicted, you would have the right to appeal that conviction with the assistance of an attorney. Do you understand those rights?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up those rights?
Yes.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or otherwise made you enter into this guilty plea?
No.
And as to the charges of possession of drug-related objects and driving on a suspended license, how do you plead? Sir?
Guilty.
Enter this plea knowingly, willingly, freely, intelligently, and voluntarily with the full facts and knowledge of the case before you.
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, and I'm sorry, I believe we changed this to driving. He is pleading to driving without license. Do you understand that, Mr. Sir?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So it's listed as driving on a suspended license, but it should be driving without a license. And let me give you the OCGA number for that. License OCGA.
I think it's 20. I could be wrong.
Pardon me, Emily, I'm sorry.
I think it's 4520 or somewhere around there, but I could be wrong.
Okay. I think it's actually 45,120.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, no, it's 4520. You're right. It's 4520. You are correct. Your Honor, if this case were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on. They're both misdemeanors.
Okay.
On September 6th of 2020, at 506 James P. Brawley Drive, officers attempted to conduct a traffic stop on what they believed to be a stolen vehicle. The driver was stopped in the vehicle. It was the defendant. He had an open container in his lap. And then when they searched him, or when he was asked about the vehicle, he said that he had borrowed the vehicle from a friend a couple streets away. He was able to provide the keys and a first name of the vehicle. He was not driving on a valid license. He did not have a valid license on his person. And he was also in possession of a crack pipe. Based on the nature of the offense and the fact that we are in a pandemic, and in the interest of justice, the state would be requesting that the court accept the plea as negotiated for a sentence of time served on both counts, the 12 months commuted to time served.
All right.
I believe Ms. Defendant does have an active warrant. I'm just going to check on that right now. He does have an open warrant for burglary in the second degree with a date of 9/5/2020. So I don't know if he will be released as a result of this plea or if he has a bond on that charge.
Okay. All right. Has that, so that case has not been indicted
We
yet?
have not accused or indicted that case.
Okay.
I was not aware of that.
I didn't see it until just now, Emily. I just saw it.
Are we ready to go forward, Ms. Bronstein?
Yes, just to clarify, so it is a guilty plea to driving without a valid license and drug-related objects, and then the possession of cocaine will be null crossed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just so I understand, it was not accused.
It was not
Possession of
I don't-
cocaine and driving with possession of open alcohol container was not accused.
correct.
Okay. Well then, sir,
Or if it was I'm just double checking because it is. No, it was not accused. It was not accused. It's showing decline.
Okay. All right, sir, I have some questions for you. Did you understand the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney?
Yes. Okay.
And do you understand the rights you're giving up by entering your pleas of guilty today?
Yes.
Are you willing to give up those rights and enter your pleas?
Yes, I am.
Has anybody threatened you or promised you anything to get you to do that? You're
No.
shaking your head. No? Okay.
I'm saying no, yes. I'm still messed up about the burglary, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. I understand. And Ms. Bronstein, your lawyer, are you satisfied with her services?
Yes, yes,
Okay. All right. I find that Mr. Matakin is entering his pleas today, or entering his plea rather, willingly, freely, knowingly, and voluntarily. I do find that there's an adequate basis, in fact, for the charges presented to the court, and therefore on 20 SC 176680, on one count of driving without a valid license, which is specifically code section 40-5-20, the court sentences you to 12 months commuted to time served. And on one count of possession and use of drug-related objects, the court hereby sentences you to 12 months commuted to time served to run concurrently with the sentence in count 1. Now, insofar as your other matter is concerned, the court is not ruling on that. I don't have that before me. Correct, Ms. McCauley?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So is there anything further that we can do in this particular case?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Bronstein?
Oh, no, Your Honor, thank you. And I will, sir, I will check on that charge. I didn't see it. I think it might have just popped up. So I'll check on it and then we'll talk next week, okay?
Thank you.
If you're not released.
All right. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bronstein.
I got number 6, Mr. Baisden.
Okay, you ready for that one? Yep.
No, that is, we need,
Oh, yeah, we need Liz.
Liz. I'm gonna text her.
Okay.
I'm gonna go in there and start a sentence. Are you ready for me, Howard?
Yeah. All right, our case manager is going to go back into the courtroom and did you say tech? Oops. It looks like your man's back on, Mr. Fortis. You want to talk to him?
Yes. No, we've spoken, Your Honor. Well, we're ready to talk to the court.
Okay, do we need Mr. Martin present?
That's
Yes,
up to
we do.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
The man we have right now is Mr. Baisden,
Mhm.
and we are rather dependent upon the jail to bring out who they can. So we'll, Mr. Fortis, if you can just hang on, is there anything I can do? We just need to put something back on the record.
Mhm.
Okay,
That's my understanding, Your Honor.
okay. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate
Not a
it.
problem. Not
Really?
a problem at all.
I do appreciate it. Thank you. And we're going to try to get everybody out of here just as soon as we can. We have a non-cooperative Wi-Fi all week. And so we're all sort of scrambling around trying to work around it.
Judge, I don't know. So the Wi-Fi doesn't work on our side of the building, but I have this thing that I got from tech, from IT. And
Yes.
basically it plugs into the internet cord that goes into the phone in your office.
Yes.
And then you can connect it, at least on my laptop, to you can connect it to the laptop so it runs on the wired internet.
Okay. Why can't I do that? I think that's what they just advised me to get for the printer, is to be able to wire into your, you have a cord coming on.
Hold on now, Missy.
That cord that I,
So we're not ready yet. I'm in my office. Just
all right, I'll holler.
Did she respond to your text?
She did not.
There she is.
There she goes.
Yeah, she's back.
So I just jumped off of that call. They can't find the client. I'm like, you're gonna have to call me back. Just let me know. Somebody text me.
All right, well, thank you very much for rejoining us. This is Mr. Baisden, Ms. Markowitz, and he has, he's on the screen. I don't know if you can see him at 3 North. Are y'all ready to proceed in that case?
We are, Your Honor.
Ms. Ingram, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, this is the state of Georgia versus Enoch Baisden, Baisden. This is 20 SC 176673. Today is October 23rd, 2020. I am hearing this matter adjacent to courtroom 8A. Courtroom 8A is open to the public, staffed by a member of the sheriff's office, and we are broadcasting this proceeding on the YouTube live stream channel to which the court is subscribed, and everyone else is appearing via the Zoom teleconference platform, including the defendant. At this time, I'm going to turn the proceedings over to Ms. McCauley to see if she has any questions regarding the defendant's appearance.
Yes. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Baisden. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you have an opportunity to discuss this case with your attorney, Ms. Markowitz?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you have that you're appearing via Zoom in order to resolve your case, but you have the right to appear in court, but you're waiving that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you also consent to the court signing your name on the indictment on your behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Markowitz, are you satisfied that your client has a full understanding of this proceeding and has properly waived his right to appear?
Yes,
Do you also consent to the court signing your name on your behalf?
I would request that she does. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state is satisfied that both the defendant and her client have properly waived their appearance for the purposes of this Zoom hearing, have also consented to the court signing their name on their behalf. The state also consents to the court signing the name of its representative on its behalf.
Okay,
I believe we're ready to proceed.
thank you very much, Ms. McCauley. You may proceed.
All right, Mr. Baisden, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide to this court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Put your hand down. All right, Mr. Baisden, how old are you?
45,
How far did you go in school?
9th grade.
Can you read, write, and understand the English language?
I can't read that good and I can't spell that good. I was in
Okay.
special ed class.
Okay. All right, Mr. Baisden, but do you understand everything that I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you don't have any issues with understanding the English language, but reading and writing is a struggle for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that with me. Are you under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today?
No, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the following rights: the right to a trial by jury, the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself, or the right to testify should you so choose, the right to have the evidence against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to assistance of an attorney at that trial, and if you were unable to afford your own attorney, you would have one appointed to you at no expense. You have the right to confront and cross-examine the state's witnesses, as well as any other evidence that would be presented against you. You have the right to compel your own witnesses to come to court and testify on your own behalf, testify on your own behalf, that's it. And if you were to be convicted, you would have the right to appeal that conviction with the assistance of an attorney. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything about that that you did not understand?
No, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are currently serving on any term of probation or parole, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand this conviction can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar crime in a future case for impeachment of your testimony or to enhance a future criminal sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. As to the charge, and you understand that you are pleading to a charge of forgery in the 4th degree, which is a reduction from the original charge. You were originally charged with forgery in the 3rd degree, and that's being reduced to a misdemeanor. And the sentence that's been negotiated is 12 months probation with the special condition that you go to River's Edge or an equivalent facility or program to be evaluated and participate in any treatment if that's recommended.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. As to the charge of forgery in the 4th degree, sir, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Do you enter this plea knowingly, willingly?
Guilty.
Knowingly, willingly, freely, intelligently, and voluntarily with the full facts and knowledge of the case before you.
Guilty.
Thank you. Your Honor, if this case were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on September 21st of 2020 at 31 Forsyth Street, apartment B, which is located in the city of Atlanta in Fulton County, that's the location of Atlanta check cashers, and the defendant presented a forged check from an Annie Hardaway. He did not have permission to present that check in the amount of just under $5,000, dated September 16th, 2020, and it had forged the victim's signature. Upon speaking with Ms. Markowitz, she relayed that he was given the check and asked to cash it, understanding that there may have been some other issues and as to why Mr. Baisden did that. The defendant was unable to obtain the proceeds of that check, and the victim didn't lose any money as a result of Mr. Baisden's actions. And based on information provided by Ms. Markowitz, the state believes it's in its best interest to resolve this case with a misdemeanor conviction. The defendant does have 3 prior convictions. The most recent being a 2012 conviction for terroristic threats. The other 2 convictions are from the 90s.
All right. Thank you. All right. Ms. Markowitz?
Judge, on behalf of Mr. Baisden, he is 45 years old. He does have a 9th grade education. And as Ms. McCauley said, somebody gave him the check to cash. And he and I have had long conversations about it. The agreement is that he would be on 12 months probation. That is a condition of his probation that he go to River's Edge, which is on Boulevard, get evaluated for any drug treatment that problems he may have, and then go ahead and follow whatever their recommendation is. Judge, he is not currently working. He hasn't worked in a long time. He doesn't really have stable living. So I'm going to ask that you go ahead and waive the probation fees and fines so that he doesn't come back because of failure to pay.
Okay. And just on the River's Edge, is he to get himself there?
Yes. Yep, it's an outpatient program. Fulton County has a contract with River's Edge that deals with our mental health and substance abuse.
And what happens if he doesn't show up?
Then he's in violation of his probation. If he can't prove to probation that he didn't show up, then he's in violation.
Okay.
They're not a place that has housing, Judge, and so holding him and transporting him doesn't do us any good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Baisden, I have some questions for you, sir. Did you understand the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand the rights you're giving up by entering your plea of guilty today?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you willing to waive those rights and enter your plea?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So what I heard you just say was that no, you're not willing to give up those rights.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You are willing to give up the rights that she read to you so we can go ahead and take your plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And has anybody threatened you in any way or promised you anything to get you to do that?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney, Ms. Markowitz?
Yes, ma'am.
You believe you've had adequate time to discuss this case with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you understand what's going on today and what you're doing?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
okay. And this is what you want to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I find that Mr. Baisden is entering his plea willingly, freely, knowingly, and voluntarily. I do find that there's an adequate basis, in fact, for the charge presented to the court. This has been accused as one count of forgery in the 4th degree. And so on that one count of forgery in the 4th degree, the court accepts your plea guilty, which I do, if I didn't say it, I do find is made freely, voluntarily, and willingly on your part. And on one count of forgery in the 4th degree. The court hereby sentences you to 12 months probation, and that is conditioned upon you're going to River's Edge program on Boulevard to be evaluated for drug treatment and to follow the recommended treatment for the period of your probation, and the court will waive your probation fees, not fines, but I will waive your fees.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything further? Did I say that all correctly?
You did, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Baisden, good luck to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Judge, I move to, you guys move to, if there's a private attorney, so I can run and go take this plea in front of Judge Leftridge.
Okay.
So I'll be leaving today?
Yes.
I'll be leaving
Tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, Monday morning, first thing, straight over to River's Edge.
Okay. Let me check on that. It'd be great if they could get us Mr. Martin.
I'm still here, Judge, so whenever you all are ready, it's fine.
Okay.
I have position. I'm sorry, let me find the number. Position number 7.
7. Okay, that's Mr. Boyd.
We don't have an indictment from him, do
We did not yet, Kathy. I gotta go and figure out what's going on.
So can we go ahead and take the plea?
We can take the plea, and then it's going to be 1 count of battery, 1 count of disorderly conduct.
Both misdemeanors.
Misdemeanors. I'll fix it. Something happened. I don't know what. Story of my life. Okay.
Oh, here's Ms. Agramonte.
Yes, Judge, I am ready on that case. Thank you.
All right. Do you need anything else, Kathy?
No, ma'am.
All
I
right.
believe the victim's also on the line for that case, Your Honor.
Okay. And Samantha, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, this is the state of Georgia versus Calvin Leon Boyd Jr. Is this Mr. Boyd? Okay. The gentleman on the screen is nodding his head, and we'll get to some more questions that I think will demonstrate who he is. This is 20 CP 190942. And this is October 23rd, 2020. I am adjacent to courtroom 8A in the Fulton County Courthouse, and that courtroom is open to the public, staffed by a member of the Sheriff's Department. I am in my office hearing this via the Zoom teleconference platform, but we are broadcasting this on our YouTube live stream connection. Everyone is appearing via Zoom, including Mr. Baisden, and I'm now going to turn these proceedings over to Ms. McCauley and get her to, if the state wishes, ask you questions about how it is you're appearing today, Mr. Baisden. All right, you may proceed, Ms. McCauley.
Not Mr. Baisden, it's Mr. Boyd, but that's okay. All right, Mr. Boyd, can you hear me okay?
I'm so sorry. Now,
Okay.
wait, I need to apologize. I was looking at the wrong thing, Mr. Boyd. I apologize. This is Mr. Calvin Leon Boyd Jr.
All right, Mr. Boyd, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Boyd, do you understand that you are here to take a plea in your case today?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you're taking that plea via Zoom as opposed to appearing in the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're waiving your right to appear in the courtroom, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. And you also consent to the court signing your name on the indictment on your behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Your Honor, or I'm sorry, and counsel, are you satisfied that your client properly understands what he is doing here today?
Sorry about that. Yes.
Okay. And do you also consent to the court signing your name on the indictment on your behalf?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Your Honor, the state is satisfied that the defendant has properly waived his right to appear in person is agreeing to appear via Zoom. We are ready to proceed.
All right, you may proceed, Ms. McCauley.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you under penalty of perjury? Thank you. Put your hand down. All right, Mr. Boyd, how old are you?
34.
How far have you gone in school?
I'm sorry,
You heard me right?
Hold on, Mr. Boyd. Yes, Samantha?
the age again, I didn't hear him.
Mr. Boyd, how old are you?
34.
How far have you gone in school?
12th grade.
Can you read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes.
Are you at this time under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today?
No, ma'am.
Is there a medication that you normally take that you've not had today?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the following rights: the right to a trial by jury, right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself, right to have the evidence against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt, right to testify in your own behalf, or the right to remain silent, right to be represented by an attorney at that trial, and if you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, have one appointed to you at no expense, the right to subpoena your own witnesses to come to court and compel your own witnesses to testify. If you were to be convicted, you would have the right to appeal that conviction with the assistance of an attorney. Do you understand those rights?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up those rights?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have 12 months from today on the misdemeanor charges of battery and battery, family violence, and disorderly conduct to file what's called a habeas corpus petition challenging whether or not this plea was in fact voluntary? Mr. Boyd?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand that you are entering a negotiated plea to battery, family violence, and disorderly conduct, and you're receiving a sentence of 12 months probation, during which time you are not to have any violent contact with Tamika Varner in order to complete the family violence intervention program? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
State the victim again. I'm sorry, McCauley. State the victim again.
Tamika, it's I have it Temaka Varner, Varner.
Okay.
She's actually on the call, Samantha. Her name is spelled out.
Okay.
You understand that is the terms of your plea, Mr. Boyd? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you understand if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are currently serving on any term of probation or parole in any jurisdiction, including federal court, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences?
Yes.
Do you understand that that this conviction can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar crime in a future case for impeachment of your testimony or to enhance a future criminal sentence?
Yes.
As to the charges of battery, family violence, and disorderly conduct, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Did you enter this plea knowingly, willingly, freely, intelligently, and voluntarily with the full facts and knowledge of the case before you? Mr. Boyd?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, if this case were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on March 4th of 2020, in the city of East Point, which is located in Fulton County, officers responded to the residence of Tamika Varner, who stated that the father of her children, Mr. Boyd, had come to her home and dropped off phones for the children. He entered her room. They got into a physical altercation, and then he subsequently left the residence and pointed up and fired a shot upon leaving the residence. Based on that, Your Honor, we would be asking the court to accept the plea as negotiated. As previously stated, the state has spoken with Ms. Varner about the terms and conditions of this plea, and she is on the call. So we would like that taken into account as well.
Okay, and just a couple of questions before we finish up, Ms. McCauley. I need to understand, are we taking the plea to the CP case?
We are taking the plea. The charges are on the CP case. It's just disorderly conduct is not on the CP case. The sentence sheet will have the SC number. For some reason, there's an issue with the accusation. I'm going to figure out what it is after I can leave the Zoom court, but it will be filed today.
Okay. Okay.
At very latest, it'll be filed Monday. So just everybody hold on.
And just so I can clarify, the sentence is 12 months probation
Correct.
and the family violence course.
Correct. And Mr. Boyd does have to go to Douglas County after he leaves Fulton County.
Okay, and I think I cut you off. Were you going to give us anything on his background?
Sure, I certainly can, Your Honor. Hold on for just a moment. Let me scroll backwards.
Why are you there?
He has a conviction for burglary out of Douglas County from 2012, and then he has an 08 conviction from Henry County for burglary. No prior history of family violence.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And this is probably not going to be filed today, just to let him know.
Okay. Is it Agramonte?
Yes, Judge, thank you. So Calvin is 34. He has 3 children. By all accounts, he's a fantastic and supportive father. He's looking forward to being released to be reunited back with his children. He is a head barber at a barbershop in East Point, very active in the community. He coaches Little League football, and his barbershop always sponsors their uniforms. And he's looking forward to being able to prove himself while on probation. He has been in custody since March. So I would just ask that you accept this plea as negotiated.
Okay. Mr. Boyd, I have some questions for you, sir. Did you understand the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney?
Yes.
And do you understand the rights you're giving up by entering your plea of guilty today?
Yes.
Are you willing to give up those rights and enter your plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anybody promised you anything or threatened you in any way to get you to do that?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney, Ms. Agramonte?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I find that Mr. Boyd is entering his plea willingly, knowingly, freely, and voluntarily. I do find that there is an adequate basis, in fact, for the charge presented to the court. Do you and Ms. Varner continue to be in a relationship?
No, ma'am. We just have kids.
Okay.
Co-parenting.
Okay. Were you in a relationship back in March when this incident?
On and off.
On and off. Okay. What do we think the future holds as far as on or off?
No relationship.
Okay.
No contact.
Okay.
Just kids.
Okay. Well, let me just say this: that on the counts presented to the court, 1 count of battery, family violence, and 1 count of disorderly conduct, the court does accept your plea of guilty and finds that that's, again, being done willingly and freely. Also, I do accept the recommended sentence, which is 12 months probation on each count, those counts to run concurrently with each other, and on the 2 special conditions, one that you take the family violence intervention course, the second that you have no further violent contact with Ms. Varner. And just so that you hear this from somebody, Mr. Boyd, the family violence intervention program will annoy the daylights out of you. But if you actually do it in good faith, if you just start listening to what they have to say, you will not believe what an impact it can possibly make. Just listen. You got to be there anyway. You got to pay for it anyway. So you might as well just go ahead and hear what they have to say, because they will give you some practical coping skills to deal with people. And it sounds like your fatherhood, your business, you're supporting children in the community, that you're there. Just listen to this thing and just let it sink in. I think you will find it valuable.
Thank you, Judge. And may I ask Lauren something really quick, just to perfect the record? And it makes no consequence to us, but I think that we had agreed, I think on the record, it was 12 months probation. I think you had initially offered maybe 12 months to serve 6 months. Release on time serve, if you want to just perfect the
That
sentence.
is correct. It was 12 months to serve 6 months with credit for time served. He's served more than 6 months, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's good.
I was counting.
No, you're fine.
Okay, so just to make sure the court has endorsed that, it's 6 months, 12 months probate, 12 months to serve 6 months with credit for time served, meaning that he is now on probation for these other issues.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Varner, we noticed that you're on the screen. You would have objected, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, this is what we're doing and you understand it, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. It's a new world you're coming back to, Mr. Boyd. And I hope you've developed the patience that we've all kind of had to put together. Thank you. Okay.
We appreciate you, Judge. Bye, everybody.
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes.
Can I get a breakout room with Mr. Fortis, 5 North and Mr. Fortis? Can we get a breakout room?
Sure.
All right.
Kathy.
Just do a breakout room for everybody and they can just go on.
Okay.
What are we doing?
You're, Mr. Fortis and somebody is joining the breakout room that I just invited everybody to.
Mr. Fortis and 5 North.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the office and
Pilgrim, go ahead and do your person. Your other
All right.
person.
I'm ready with position number 8.
Okay. Do I leave this open, Kathy, or?
Who is position number 8?
Position number 8 is Levitt. Hey, look, guys, I don't see.
Okay, I need to get Liz back. I'll just tell her we're ready.
Okay. Come on, Liz.
There's no way to get Mr. Martin? Or
I think that's why they're doing the breakout room for 5 North with Mr. Fortis.
Okay. You think I successfully did it, Lauren?
Yeah, I think so. I got a
Oh,
message.
yeah, there's 2 little green dots under the breakout room.
Good.
Sweet.
Judge,
Yes.
a
Break.
quick break. Yeah, comfort break.
Okay, can we take a quick 5-minute break?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna go across.
Okay. All right, 5 minutes.
Know who I should contact to see if South Annex can come back on the Zoom call? Because position 1 is housed in Union City.
Oops.
Do you have to do something on the record or can you just call her? For the Union City call?
No, Ms. Hemphill is going to plea.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll try to get somebody to get logged back on.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, I'm ready to go when you are.
Samantha, are you back?
Yes.
Okay, and who is our, this is Ms. Markowitz, isn't it?
It is, and she's
Oh,
not.
Judge, thank you,
Here
sorry.
she is. Okay. And I believe we have Mr. Lovett, correct?
Perfect.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Mr. Lovett.
Hello.
Thank you. Ms. Ingram, this is the state of Georgia versus Sakevius Travante Lovett. This is 20 SC 176677. Today is October 23rd, 2020. I'm adjacent to courtroom 8A in the Fulton County Courthouse. The courtroom is open to the public, staffed by a member of the Sheriff's Department. I am in my office hearing this on Zoom due to some technological issues. However, we are broadcasting this on YouTube live stream channel for purposes of making the public's business open and accessible to it. And everyone else, including the defendant, is appearing, well, everyone is appearing via the Zoom teleconference platform. I'm now going to turn this matter over to Ms. McCauley to see if she has any questions on behalf of the state with regard to the defendant's appearance. Ms. McCauley?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Lovett. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to discuss this case with Ms. Markowitz
Yes, ma'am. Over the phone.
over the phone?
Yes,
Did she explain today's proceeding with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you understand that you're here to take a plea today, and you're taking a plea to disorderly conduct and possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And let's see here. You are getting a sentence of time served, and with the objective of releasing you to a hold out of state, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you understand that you have the right to appear in person, but you're waiving that right and agreeing to appear via Zoom?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And you also consent to the court signing your name on your behalf on the indictment?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Markowitz, are you satisfied that your client has properly waived his right to appear before this court? You're on mute.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's like the slogan of the year. Yes.
Okay, and also Ms. McCauley, but as we proceed, will you tell us what's happening to the first count of the accusation, which we believe is possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony?
It needs to be null pros, Your Honor.
Okay, count one's going to be possession of firearm by a convicted felon is going to be null pros?
Yes,
correct.
Judge, it wasn't found on him.
Okay.
All right. Your Honor, I believe we're ready to proceed. The state consents to the defendant, or the state consents to the court signing its name on the indictment as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Lovett, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Put your hand down. Can you state and spell your name for the court?
Sakevius Levitt, Sakevius. Last name Levitt. Sorry.
Could you mute South Annex? Oh, you're okay. Go ahead, Mr. Lovett.
Last name Levitt, Lovett.
And Mr. Lovett, how old are you?
I'm 27 years old.
How far have you gone in school?
I got my GED.
Can you read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, are you under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today? Is there any medication that you normally take that you've not had today?
Outside of this, seeing my psychiatrist, I haven't taken any medication since I've been incarcerated.
Okay. And do any of that medication impact your ability to understand what's going on?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you understand if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on your immigration or visa status?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are currently serving on probation or parole in any jurisdiction, including federal court, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you have 12 months from today to file what's called a habeas corpus petition challenging whether or not this plea was in fact voluntary?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on your immigration or visa status? Do you understand that by entering into this guilty plea, you are giving up the following rights: the right to a trial by jury, the right to have the evidence against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt, the right to testify or the right to remain silent, the right to confront and cross-examine the state's witnesses, as well as any other evidence that would be presented against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney at that trial. If you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, you may have one appointed to you at no expense. You would have the right to testify or the right to remain silent. You would have the right to cross-examine any of the state's witnesses, and you would have the right to compel your own witnesses to come to court and testify on your own behalf. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
To understand also that if you were convicted, you would have the right to appeal that conviction with the assistance of an attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
And to understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up all of those rights.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you understand that this conviction can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar case in a future trial for impeachment of your testimony or to enhance a future criminal sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so as to the charges of disorderly conduct, hold on, go back. Disorderly conduct and possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, how do you plead?
Yes.
And do you enter this plea knowingly, willingly, freely, intelligently, and voluntarily with the full facts and knowledge of the case before you? Mr. Levitt,
Yes, ma'am.
did you plead guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much. Your Honor, if this case were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on September 18th, 2020 at 6690 Shannon Parkway, which is located in the city of Atlanta in Fulton County, officers responded to a call in reference for information.
We can skip it to misdemeanor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Markowitz. I'm just reading through the notes and none of them make sense, so.
It's a long-winded, mostly they were after somebody else that was in there that also got arrested.
Okay.
Judge, on behalf of Mr. Levitt, he is 27 years old. He's got a 12th grade education, and he works, he was self-employed originally as waste building management. Unfortunately, he also has a hold from Tennessee, and so he's going to get transferred back to Tennessee right now to handle that case. It's sort of a convoluted case, but essentially when the police came into the hotel room that he was had been invited to, he had marijuana on him, and so we're asking that you follow the and a disorderly amount of other drugs. So we're asking that you follow the recommendation of 12 months community time served and one of those concurrent to each other. He's been in jail since mid-September.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lovett, I have some questions for you, sir. Did you understand the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand the rights you're giving up by entering your plea of guilty today?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Are you willing to give up those rights to enter your plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anybody threatened you in any way or promised you anything?
Not at all.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney, Ms. Markovitz?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. I find that Mr. Lovett is entering his plea knowingly, willingly, freely, and voluntarily. I do find that the facts are present to support the charges, and therefore on 20 SC 1, I do accept the plea of guilty and the recommended sentence, but therefore on 20 SC 176677, count 1 is being null pros, count 2, possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce. The court hereby sentences you to 12 months commuted to the time you have served. And on 1 count of disorderly conduct, the court sentences you to 12 months commuted to the time you have served to run concurrently with the sentence in count 2. Is there anything else?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Lovett.
Thank you so much. I hope you all have a good day.
Thank you.
Hey, Enoch Baisden, the forgery in the 4th degree is still a felony. It's showing up on the
Forgery in the 4th is a misdemeanor.
It's a misdemeanor.
Okie dokie. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely I just double checked it on Lexis. It's
That's why
definitely a misdemeanor.
I was asked what charge I wanted to plead to, and I looked it up the other day to make sure it was a misdemeanor.
Well, normally on the inside of the indictment or accusation, it'll say misdemeanor by it, but it doesn't. So
no, we're not in normal time.
Well,
Yeah, Mr. Martin back.
Thank you.
All right. Samantha, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. This is the state of Georgia versus, is it Jorge?
No, this is Mr. Martin. We're back to Mr. Martin, Your Honor.
Mr. Martin, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
Judge, I'm back on the line.
All right. Do we need to reopen the record?
We do.
Okay, Samantha, can we reopen the record in position number 3, please? This is Mr. Marcus Martin. This is 20 SC 176671. We are reopening the record in this case at the request, I believe, of the state. And at this point, I'll let the state proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. When we took this plea, I mistakenly said it was commuted to time served. This is not a time served plea. But the offer extended was 5 years to serve 12 months with the balance to be probated. So for the charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, those sentences need to reflect a sentence of 5 years to serve 12 months with the balance to be probated.
All right. And how much difference does that make?
So I originally said commuted to time served because Mr. Martin had served 8 months. And then I looked back at my communications with Mr. Fortas and I said a year to serve. And he requested it be in months as opposed to a year. So there's no DOC transportation issues because we don't have any idea as to when that will start. So I agreed to the 12 months.
5 more months?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Fortas, do you understand that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, and those were the discussions, and I did speak with Mr. Martin about that. While he may not be the happiest about it, he certainly understands, and it is what he and I discussed. But I would ask the court to ensure that he get the credit for, I believe it's the 8 months that he already has in.
Okay. Mr. Martin, do you understand that the sentence that I pronounced earlier is now going to be changed to reflect 5 years to serve 12 months?
Yes, ma'am.
You do, is the answer yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we're all choosing to go forward under the previous record that we started?
Yes,
that's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Martin, I am going to change your sentence then on 20 SC 176671. And on one count of aggravated assault, the court hereby sentences you to 5 years to serve 12 months with the balance on probation. And count 2, same thing, that will be 5 years consecutive suspended. And on count 3, that will be served, same sentence as count number 1 to be served concurrently with the count, with the sentence in count 1. And same special conditions that you're to have no further contact with DeMar Mims Ward.
Judge, would you please specify in the record that he'll be getting credit for the 8 months that he already has in?
Yes,
So-
I'm sorry,
so-
there's 5 years to serve one or serve 12 months with credit for the time he has served. Absolutely. All right, is there anything else we need to put on that? Sorry about that, Mr. Martin.
No.
Yeah, Mr. Martin has a question.
So I got to do the whole 12 months, like day for day?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Martin, thank you, sir. And thanks everybody for getting back on.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. All right. Kathy, did you get that? Yes.
Oh, you want to do South Enid? Oh, let me do position number 9.
Okay.
This. Is this Mr. Jorge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Do you say it? Do you say it, Jorge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I'm Samantha. This is the state of Georgia versus Jorge Ortiz Rodriguez. This is 20 SC 176675. Today is October 23rd. I'm Jane Barwick. I'm adjacent to courtroom 8A. Our courtroom is open to the public, staffed by a member of the Sheriff's Department. I am in chambers because of a technological issue, but we are broadcasting on the court's YouTube live stream link. Everyone is appearing via the Zoom teleconference platform, including the defendant. And at this time, I will turn this matter over to Ms. McCauley to see if the state has any questions with regard to the defendant's appearance.
Mr. Ortiz Rodriguez, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand the nature of today's proceedings, that you have the right to appear in person, but you're agreeing to appear via Zoom in order to take this plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you also consent to the court signing your name on the indictment on your behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Markowitz, are you satisfied that your client fully understands his waiver of presence today and agreeing to appear via Zoom? Okay, thank you. This is a rough day. And you also,
what she's saying is that have we discussed, you and I, the fact that we're not going to be in the courtroom, we're going to do it on Zoom, me from one place, you from another, and the judge from a different place. And I said yes, we did talk about that.
and you also consent to the court signing your name on any documents that may be needed to perfect the plea?
Yes, I'm actually requesting the judge and appreciating that she's doing it.
All right, thank you. Your Honor, the state is satisfied that both the defendant and his counsel have waived their right to appear in person, and also consent to the court signing their names on the documents in order to perfect the plea. The state is also asking the court to sign the name of its representative on the indictment as well.
All right.
I think we're ready to proceed.
Okay, if you'd like to proceed.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Ortiz Rodriguez, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you put your hand down. Sir, how old are you?
29.
How far have you gone in school?
GD, ma'am.
Okay, so you read, write, and understand the English language.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you at this time under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today?
No, ma'am.
Is there any medication that you normally take that you've not had today?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on your immigration or visa status?
No.
Do you understand that if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are currently serving on any term of probation or parole in any jurisdiction, including federal court, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on those sentences?
Yes.
You understand that you are pleading to one count of pointing a pistol, which is a misdemeanor offense, for which you will receive a 6 months to serve 2 months with the balance to be suspended, and the understanding that we are resolving this case in order to release you to your parole hold out of New York.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand that this conviction can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar crime in a future case, for impeachment of your testimony, or to enhance a future criminal sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the following rights: the right to a trial by jury, the right to have the evidence against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt, the right to testify in your own behalf, or the right to remain silent should you so choose, the right to confront and cross-examine the state's witnesses, as well as present any witnesses of your own and compel evidence in your own defense. You have the right to have an attorney assist you at that trial, and if you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, you would have one appointed to you at no expense. And should you be convicted, you would have the right to appeal that conviction with the assistance of an attorney. Do you understand those rights? Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or otherwise made you enter into this guilty plea?
No, ma'am.
And do you understand that you have 12 months from today to file what's called a habeas corpus petition challenging whether or not this plea is in fact voluntary? And okay, as to the charge of pointing a pistol at another, how do you plead?
Plead guilty, ma'am.
Okay, And do you enter this plea knowingly, willingly, freely, intelligently, and voluntarily with the full facts and knowledge of the case before you? All right, thank you. Your Honor, if this case were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on September 19th of 2020 at 4336 Fulton Industrial Boulevard, which is located in the city of Atlanta in Fulton County, the defendant did point a Taurus 40 caliber handgun at the location at another individual, and a witness called police and advised of the same. There was a question as to whether or not Mr. Ortiz Rodriguez had a conviction out of New York. However, we did not receive confirmation of his conviction at the time that we were approached to take a plea. We're resolving it in order to let Mr. Rodriguez return to New York and resolve that parole hold.
All right. Anything further from the state?
From the state, Your Honor. And I believe, and as to his criminal history, it's the state's understanding he just has that 2010 conviction out of New York.
All right. Ms. Markowitz? I think you're on mute.
How's that happen? He is 29 years old. He has a GED and he works 2 jobs. He was working at Office Depot and overnight at Kroger. He does have a hold on him from Albany, New York. And as the conversation with Mr. Ortiz Rodriguez and I is that it's very close to where I live and grew up. So we are asking that you file the recommendation, Judge. He had the sentence date reflect sentence to start from September the 19th of 2020, which was the day of his arrest.
All right. All right. Mr. Ortiz Rodriguez, I have some questions for you, sir. Did you understand the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand the rights you're giving up by entering your plea of guilty today?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to give up those rights and enter your plea?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney, Ms. Markowitz?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anybody promised you anything or threatened you in any way to get you to do this today?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I do find that Mr. Ortiz Rodriguez is entering his plea willingly, freely, knowingly, and voluntarily. I do find that there's an adequate basis, in fact, for the charge presented to the court, and I accept his plea and I accept the recommendation. And therefore, in 20 SC 176675, one count of pointing a pistol at another under 16-11-102, the court hereby sentences you to 6 months to serve 2 months with the balance on probation, and in order to release you to the parole hold out of New York. Anything further? Mr. I don't.
6 months, 2 months, balance on probation?
Yeah, 6 months to serve 2 months, balance on probation, right?
Balance suspended.
Huh?
Balance suspended because he's going to New York. He's not going to be back down here.
Okay. 6 months to serve 2 months, balance suspended. Mr. Ortiz Rodriguez
What's
has
your question, honey?
What does the balance suspended mean?
It means non-reporting probation.
Not reporting probation?
Correct.
So I won't have, after I'm done with New York, I don't have to do probation, is what you're saying?
Correct.
No, after you leave to go to New York.
Okay.
Right. So what happens is that so long as you don't violate probation, as long as you don't get arrested again, they act like you were never on probation.
In Atlanta.
You come back down here, get arrested again within the 6 months, they're going to pretend like you were always on probation.
Okay, so what if I live in Atlanta? So far I've been living here. I'm going back to work.
Go back up to Albany, deal with that, and then you come back down and you're fine. Just keep your nose clean. No weapons.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Elizabeth.
You're welcome. All right, good luck up there. It's going to be cold.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good luck.
Judge, I believe that concludes my business.
Okay.
No.
It does?
No.
You have to stay as a hostage, Liz.
I will stay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no, that's okay. I appreciate you being here.
No, I'm Liz. I'm just teasing you. You can go. If the judge says you can go, you can go.
Okay.
Well, now I haven't decided.
I'll wait for a while. Let me watch another one.
No, I think maybe you should go. Okay, who's this gentleman?
This is Miss Hemphill.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I had my mask on and couldn't see. Okay, this is position number 1. Sorry, ma'am. This is Ms. Mashlin Hemphill.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Samantha, you want? Yeah, there you are. This is the state of Georgia versus Mashlin Hemphill. This is 20 SC 176679. Today is October 23rd, 2020. This matter is being heard adjacent to courtroom 8A. Courtroom 8A is open to the public, staffed by a member of the Sheriff's Department. However, I am adjacent to the courtroom because of technological issues, although we are broadcasting this matter on the YouTube live stream link belonging to the court. Everyone is appearing via the Zoom teleconference platform, including Ms. Hemphill. And I'm going to turn this matter now over to Ms. McCauley to see if she has any questions regarding Ms. Hemphill's appearance. Ms. McCauley?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hemphill, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And okay. Sorry, Your Honor. Lost my place. Ms. Hemphill, do you understand what you're doing here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you're here for the purposes of resolving your plea and you have the right to appear in person, but you're choosing to appear via Zoom?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And do you also consent to the court signing your name on any documents that may be required to perfect your plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All that I understand. I just realized I've been saying perfect your plea. What that means is to make the plea go through to resolve the case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Bronstein, are you satisfied that your client has a full understanding of this proceeding?
I am.
And do you also consent to the court signing your name on behalf of on your behalf on any documents that may be required?
I do.
Okay. And do you also waive your right to appear in person and agree to appear via Zoom?
Yes, I do.
All right. Thank you very much. Your Honor, the state is satisfied that both defendant and her counsel have properly waived their right to appear before the court in person and are agreeing to appear via Zoom, and we are ready to proceed.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Hemphill, could you please raise your right hand? You swear and affirm that the testimony you are to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you under penalty of perjury.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Put your hand down. Could you please, how old are, state and spell your name for the court, actually.
Charlotte, M-A-S-H-I-L-Y-N, Hemphill, H-E-M-P-H-I-L-L, and I'm 46.
No, you are in the next question I was going to ask you. All right, you're 46 years old. How far did you go to school? How far did you go in school?
10th grade.
Okay, can you read, write, and understand the English language?
I didn't get the grade.
Ma'am.
What grade? What grade again, Ms. Hemphill?
10th grade.
10th grade?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you at this time under the influence of any substance or medication that would prevent you from fully understanding what you're doing here today?
No, ma'am.
Is there any medication that you normally take that you've not had today?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the following rights? The right to a trial by jury, the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself, the right to an assistance of an attorney, the right to have the evidence against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt, the right to confront and cross-examine the state's witnesses, as well as any other evidence that would be presented against you. You have the right to compel your own witnesses to come to court and testify in your own behalf, as well as the right to, should you be convicted, appeal that conviction with the assistance of an attorney. To understand those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
To understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or otherwise made you plead guilty to the these charges?
No, ma'am.
And you understand that you are pleading to, hold on, Ms. Bronstein was very specific in her request, so let me make sure that I say it properly. If I could just have the court's indulgence for one moment.
Absolutely.
Thank you. You are pleading to one count of criminal trespass, and you're receiving a sentence of 12 months to serve commuted time served upon entry and completion of the Breakthrough House program?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And that's your understanding of the plea that you're here before the court for today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you understand that this plea can be used against you in the future as use of evidence of a similar crime in a future case, for impeachment of your testimony, or to enhance a future criminal sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you have any open cases, suspended sentences, or are currently serving on any term of probation or parole in any jurisdiction, including federal court, a conviction in this case may have a negative impact on those sentences?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a conviction in this case would have a negative impact on on your immigration or visa status?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you also understand that you have 12 months from today to file what's called a habeas corpus petition challenging whether or not this plea was in fact voluntary?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And I believe that's it, Ms. Hemphill. As to the charge of criminal trespass, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Do you enter this plea knowingly, willingly, freely, intelligently, and voluntarily with the full facts and knowledge of the case before you?
Guilty.
Thank you. All right, Your Honor. I believe the defendant is agreeing to stipulate to the factual basis. I'll defer to Ms. Bronstein for that, but this incident does involve, I believe, a misunderstanding with her mother, Ms. Kane. And this incident may have been a result of Ms. Hemphill's behavioral health and some drug issues that she's working through. And I think Breakthrough House will help her with that. And I will go through her criminal history, which I do not believe is extensive, although I know that she is currently on probation in front of Judge LaGroa. And Ms. Hemphill, I know that your attorney has spoken to you about that, but we are not able to handle your probation before this court. Something that Judge LaGroa wants to handle. She's on first offender probation before Judge LaGroa for that burglary count.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And that's it, Your Honor. We would just be requesting the court accept the plea as negotiated.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bronstein?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Hemphill is 46 years old, and as the state said, she does have drug and mental health issues. I have been in communication, a lot of communication with her mother, who is the complaining witness in this case, and her mother really wants her to do this program. Also, as the state said, Ms. Hemphill is on probation with Judge LaGroa, and I forwarded the acceptance letter and brochure for Breakthrough House to the attorney in that courtroom. So she has that. So I would ask that the court follow the state's recommendation. I would just say that we'll see what happens in Judge LaGroa's courtroom. And then if she is sentenced to that, or if she is reinstated to probation, at that time, I will prepare a release order once we have transportation set up. Well, once we get a bed and transportation. She's accepted into the program, but all the stars need to align for us to actually transport her. So I will send an order at that time, along with a request for the jail to release her with some medication. Who would you prefer us send that order to?
Can you, Ms. Bronstein, can you send it to our case manager, Ms. Weitzel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I have some questions. Ms. Hemphill, may I ask you some questions, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand the questions asked of you here today by the Assistant District Attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand the rights you're giving up by entering your plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to give up those rights to enter your plea of guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You understand and know what you're doing today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I find that Ms. Hemphill, now let me ask one thing, State and Ms. Bronstein, was it accused as burglary 1, or is it being reduced?
Reduced. It's being reduced to criminal trespass.
Okay, so it was accused as burglary in the first degree, but it's being reduced to criminal trespass.
I don't think it should have been.
It's accused as criminal trespass.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it is accused as criminal trespass. Okay. All right, great. Thank you. So on one count in 20 SC 176679, on one count of criminal trespass, the court hereby sentences you to 12 months, commuted to the time you have served upon your entry into and completion of the Breakthrough House program. It is my understanding that the court will be provided with an order once there is a bed located, and that transportation order will provide that you be taken directly from Rice Street to the Breakthrough House program?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and in the meantime, there will have to be a resolution of the probation matter in front of Judge LaGrua. And anything I can do to help, please let me know. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome, Ms. Hemphill. Good luck to you, okay?
Ms. Hemphill. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. And Judge, that concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, it was good working with you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ms. McCauley.
You're welcome, Emily. Nice to see you. Thank you for letting me know about that factual basis issue.
Yeah, and that was interesting during first appearance.
No, I'm like pulling it up. I'm like, I don't understand.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I know everybody's had a long day, so I won't keep you. Mr. Martin we're off the record now, right?